What is that, Dina?
Oh, chivalry is like a little... It's a charm bracelet or something. You ain't gotta worry about that, Mom. We'll get it.
A silver one. It was your father's.
I know. We'll find it for you.
It's bad luck without it.
So introduce yourself, tell everybody what you did on the film and what the film is that we're talking about.
Sure. My name is Xia Magnus. I'm the writer and director of SANZARU. It's a film that premiered last night here at Slamdance.
How was the premiere?
It went really well.
Yeah?
We sold out the house. People were sitting in the aisles, so I feel like that's a win.
Having experienced this film myself, thank you, by the way, that was a really interesting film.
Yeah.
Having experienced it myself, I have to imagine that you were waiting for the moments that people were going to either cringe or freak out, or did that come for you? Did you feel like you were satisfied with that?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I feel like people were really leaning in to the movie to like try and we're just really engaged. So when the kind of shocking moments came and the surprises and stuff like that, it was really fun to see people react.
You know, the hard part about the genre is that we've seen so much of it.
Right.
We've seen it all before. And to create something new in this space, talk about your challenge there and what your mindset was going into trying and being inventive and innovative, which I think you do pull off in this film.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think that is always the trick, right? Is to like use the tropes and the cliches of the genre, but kind of open them up and try and show them in a new way. I mean, that's really what I tried to do, but I think mostly I just tried to achieve that through like telling the story, you know, and then having those the kind of horror or genre elements assist in telling the story, the heart and the emotion, you know, at the heart of the story.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome. Talking a little bit about the duality aspect of this film, was that very important to you? This ultimately becomes kind of like a good versus evil tale in that respect. So talk a little bit about how you came up with the duality aspect and what it means to you and why that was important to tell in this story.
Yeah, I mean, I think that from early on that kind of started to show itself in the writing process. I mean, because we had there's a couple dualities, right? There's the spirit world kind of versus the physical world,
right.
And then within the spirit world we have two spirits, and you know, one definitely represents something maybe more wholesome and better, and like a helpful spirit, and one is a negative. I mean, in general, just like conflict always helps tell the story, you know, in an intriguing way. So I felt like I had the grandmother spirit character that sort of assists our lead through the film, and I realized that she needed a foe.
Nice.
So, yeah.
You know, the interesting aspect about this too, in that you're creating this creepy vibe and this interesting. The house becomes part of the, you know, it's its own character in some respects. So how, you know, for indies, it's kind of a challenge when you're trying to vision it in your head and you put it out there. Talk about how you found the location you found and how much that meant to the production.
Absolutely. Well, it was key for sure. And during, you know, pre-production, we really scoured the area, like tried to find the perfect house. We were shooting in South Texas, and we struggled. We ended up actually shooting in two locations, so the interior is separate from the exterior. Yeah, they're two locations. And we just really drove around and found the interior. We ended up finding just through social media. And our scouting efforts, and then the exterior, we literally were just driving around finding it, looking for just that right kind of house. But the owner of the exterior actually came to the premiere last night, and it was really fun to have him there because the house was such a character. You know?
Right. Yeah. You know, I get the feeling, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I get the feeling that we're in for some more.
Yeah.
That you leave it nice and open-ended, and you also give just enough about the background of what is happening in this area, but you don't give it all. So was that the intention? Are you planning on making more of these?
I mean, I definitely don't have a solid plan, but I mean, I love the world that we set up, and I'm really proud of what we did. So, and I do think that there's more story there. So hopefully we'll see. It would be fun to do something else.
Nice. What are you going to take away from this first production that you're going to add to the next thing that you do?
The production itself, yeah. I mean, I think I learned a lot. I learned a lot, and every time you learn a little bit more. And for me, it was really about the schedule. We had such a grueling actual shooting schedule. So I think in the future, I know it's always going to be some, because you never have enough money, right, or enough time.
Sure.
But I think for me, next time I want to focus, pare back a little bit maybe, and to not have such a grueling schedule, because it definitely cut into the creative time, for sure.
What did the actors give you in this production that you really didn't have going into it, that you felt like really added to what we were experiencing?
Yeah, I mean, it always helps. I mean, the script always comes alive once it's actually the actors are embodying it. So there's always that. But then with these specific actors, they both brought so much to their characters. I mean, it was a real collaboration, particularly with Ina, who plays Evelyn, the lead. She and I worked together very closely, and she brought a lot of her personal experience to the story, and we definitely changed some things to kind of mirror her own journey, so I think it enriches it so much more once you get them with the material.
The other aspect of this film is the idea that you're crossing cultures, and there's a culture divide in some respects, but there's also a culture admiration and a mutualness that comes with that. So talk a little bit about how important that was for you in this particular story, and why it had to be in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to, it's another one of those dualities that we were talking about before. We have these kind of two cultures that are coming together. I think it's the film is, the physical world is grounded in sort of Americana kind of Texas.
Sure.
This sort of this southern vibe where the house actually is, and then the spirit world is more, in my mind anyway, was more Evelyn's. It's her subconscious, or it's part of her perspective and her reality, in a lot of ways. So that one has more, shadings of just something different. I don't know, I can't really put my finger on it, but I think that it definitely, those two things coming together was really important, and kind of what the movie's about. I mean, the name itself, SANZARU, is the three wise monkeys. Nice. So see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. And for me, in the research phase and the writing, that has this really negative connotation in the West, but in the East, it actually can. In the West, it's more about repression and sort of something dark,
Sure.
and negative. But in the East, it can actually be something also harmonious, and about harmony, and kind of denying yourself things to find harmony. So I think that there's a lot of that in the film.
I have a feeling that just from what I saw visually and everything, that you were a fan of some deeper or 80s horror films. There's some nods in there. Was that intentional?
Yeah, I mean, I think I really wanted to. What I really wanted to do was I wanted to make a serious movie that didn't take itself too seriously. So I think that a lot of those classic horror films, 60s, 70s, and 80s, all the way through, really bring some playfulness to the material, which I think is really important. And so definitely a big fan of Ken Russell and Lair of the White Worm, and just kind of kooky, zany gonzo movies. I love those. So I really wanted to set up this in the first act, or the first part of the movie, kind of this almost social realist drama that slowly, as it slips further into the genre space, it just gets crazier.
So what do you love about being an indie filmmaker?
I mean, I think I love this part of it, getting to share the work. I think it can be very lonely,
Nice.
So it's once you're finally putting it out there. And I think community, I think is the thing I would say the most. And kind of being the master of your own domain or whatever, as an indie filmmaker, a lot of times you have a lot more control, and the collaborative process is much more, it's much more harmonious.
Up already? 1, 2, 3.
Someone has taken my things. I'd like to ask that young boy.
That's Evelyn's nephew, Mama.
I don't think...
No, let me talk to him right now.
I didn't take anything.
It's okay if you did. But it shouldn't be in that room.
There's something wrong with this place.
The garage. Who does it belong to?
Something horrific. I have these dreams. I'm not sure when I'll wake up. You know?
SANZARU.